All right, good evening, San Antonio. Good morning, Philippines. Welcome back to USAPANG FIL-AM with CHONA. Tonight, andito ho tayo sa Dominion. No? We're actually attending an event na nagtumutulong sa partido ni mayoral candidate Greg Brockhouse. And he's actually here with me tonight. So it's an opportunity for all our kababayans, our Filipino American community members, to get to know him. Now, we've had a chance to interview Mayor Ron Nirenberg and the other mayoral candidate, Denise Gutierrez. And now it is time for Mr. Greg Brockhouse, to tell us a little bit more about him for all our Filipino Americans to get to know him better. So good evening, Mr. Greg Brockhouse. And I'm so sorry we only have one microphone tonight, so we're going to be passing it back and forth.
And thank you for the opportunity and the time to talk tonight. And we just had a wonderful event where we talked about the future of San Antonio, the things we've learned from the last couple of years, especially after the pandemic, and how we're coming out as a community, how we're going to rebuild jobs, our city, our faith, just a little bit of everything we talked about tonight. And it's exciting that people are interested and engaged, and they want to get out and vote and do things in our community to make it just a little bit better. And I'm thrilled to be here with the Filipino community and just to have a conversation about who I am and where I come from, my family, what I believe and what I think San Antonio can be. So I very much appreciate the time, and I look forward to an opportunity to introduce myself. This is great. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much. So like what I always do with other interviews, okay, again, I want to reiterate this. USAPANG FIL-AM is a community service. We are neutral. We are supporting everybody. We're giving everybody the opportunity, to let you guys know what they have, who they are, and what they can contribute to San Antonio for you to have a sound decision, as to who you should vote for, who you should choose to sit there as the mayor of San Antonio. So before I'm going to throw him some questions, like what I did with other mayoral candidates, I would like to read for you guys a short bio of Mr. Greg Brockhouse. Well, this is the only thing I have right now, which I found on the internet. So, Mr. Brockhouse, after I read your short bio here, if you have anything to add that you want our Filipino American community members to know about you, then I'll give you the microphone. All right. So, Greg Brockhouse, that's the name. All right. He is a husband to Annalisa for more than 12 years. He's a father of 5, namely Emma, Edward, Daisy, David, and Luke. All right. He attends Prince of Peace Catholic Church. He's a military veteran, U.S. Air Force. Thank you for your service. FMR San Antonio City Council member in District 6. He is also a businessman in the mortgage industry for over 15 years. He is a small business owner, janitorial services company, and has been residing in San Antonio for more than 44 years. Wow. Okay, impressive. And first of all, like I said, thank you for your service. My late husband was in the Air Force, so, we owe you our freedom. So anything else you want to add apart from what I've seen here on your website?
Well, I would just add that I'm a lifelong San Antonio resident, and we grew up on the south side of San Antonio, my family and I. My parents, David and Patsy. My father was an Air Force veteran. His father was an Army World War II veteran. My mother was in the United States Army, served for 16 years, was in Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storms. My mother's an Army veteran, and her father is an Army veteran from World War II as well. So I'm very proud of my parents, and the blessing of my father is something I want to mention too. My father's a Lutheran pastor here in San Antonio, so at Mount Olive Lutheran Church. And look, we have 5 children. We're raising our kids in our community, and we absolutely love San Antonio. We've been blessed. My wife is a graduate of St. Mary's University and Providence High School here in San Antonio. I graduated from John Jay, and together we're blessed with a wonderful family, 3 boys and 2 girls. And our daughters are at college right now at Northwestern and Texas Tech. I had a son just join the Navy So there'll be another Brockhouse that's serving in the military. This will be now the 5th straight generation of Brockhouses that have served in the military. And our youngest son is 12, and we just have a wonderful life. We're very blessed, and we would thank you again for the time and opportunity to introduce our family to all of you in the community.
Thank you, Mr. Brockhouse. Now here's one question for you. We have at least 10 questions from our community members. So here's one question for you. What is your favorite spot in San Antonio?
Spot? Yes, favorite spot. You know what? I grew up between Valley High, Lackland Air Force Base, and 151. So that's where I've lived. Literally, the military sent me out of San Antonio to Montana and California on different assignments. But I came right back to 151, so I didn't get very far. I absolutely love eating in little restaurants on Old Highway 90. So Old Highway 90 is right off of 90 and near Lackland Air Force Base. It's one of the oldest streets in the city. And I like finding little restaurants to eat at, little small businesses. It's okay, I love food. I can't lie. I absolutely enjoy finding little small business owner restaurants, little Jalisco's, taco shops, whatever it is. I just enjoy food. My wife and I have been kind of passionate about food and small restaurants and small businesses. So I spend a lot of my time in little places like that. And then from a fun perspective, I'm just a movie nut. So I love to watch movies. I literally have like a catalog of movies in my mind that I've just watched over the years. And so I like to go to the movie theater quite a bit. Obviously pre-pandemic, the movie theater's been closed for a while. But those are the little things that I do to unwind and have fun. And I like to read a lot. So and that's about it. So love my little side of town. Any chance I get to talk about Marbach Road and Valley High and where I grew up, that's where I love to go back. My parents still live there as well, and my wife's parents and my parents live one street apart from each other. Yeah, so we're all in the same neighborhood, and we absolutely love it.
All right. Thank you so much for addressing that question. That's actually a fun question. All right. Here's your next question. Last 2019, right? 2 years ago, for the mayoral election, in the runoff, Mayor Ron Ehrenberg narrowly defeated you, right? For this upcoming election, how confident are you that you're going to win over Mr. Ron Ehrenberg?
To me, it's not necessarily about being confident. I know I have a job to do, and I just have to get out there and talk about our ideas and what we see as the future of San Antonio. I lost in 2019 in the closest election in San Antonio mayoral history. And we just gave it our heart and soul, and it was a tough campaign. But you learn a lot from your losses. And what I've learned is that we have to work together, and I don't have the answers to everything. And everybody has to have a seat at the table, and we have to work hard and talk about the things we believe in. So it's not a confidence. I have a real firm faith that got strengthened as a result of losing in 2019. And my faith is telling me, it tells my wife and I and our children and our family that it's on God's plan for him. And if it's his blessing that we become the mayor, then we're going to become the mayor. If not, then on May 2nd, when the election is over, if I lose again, I can still go out and be proud of who we are and the things we do. And so I really lean on my faith with it. It's not a confidence thing. It's a faith thing that the decision's going to come on God's time and God's will. And I'm just going to have to do my part. Hard work, take care of my family, and talk about what I believe San Antonio can be.
That is a very impressive response. Thank you. So, if there was something that the current administration should have done that they have not, what would that be? What's most important in San Antonio right now for you?
You know, Ron and I have a very vastly different leadership style. I want to believe in hope and opportunity. And when the pandemic started, I would have handled things completely differently. I would not have shut down San Antonio. I would have kept small businesses open as best I could and helped people keep working and making money. And I'm talking about small businesses, like I talked earlier about wanting to hit restaurants and help small little business and family owners. We destroyed our city's economy when we shut it down completely over COVID. That's not to say that we don't respect science, that we don't take care of families, our seniors, and our most vulnerable. We do. But we shouldn't have shut down San Antonio. So I would have kept us open, kept us working. I would have encouraged mask usage, and I would have followed the science. But at the end of the day, we have to keep San Antonio moving, and it's a personal choice. So I would have worked hard to keep people working, keep the businesses open so that families have income and they can provide for themselves. And then I would have really turned, at this point, I'm going to turn real quickly to job creation. That's what's going to be different from Ron and myself. I think we need to hire back people now. We need to put people to work immediately. And that means we have to invest our resources as a city, not 3 or 5 years down the road, right now, in helping small businesses reopen and rehire. The path back for us as a city after the pandemic, post-pandemic, is going to be jobs and income. People making more money is the key to success, and people keeping more of the money they make, which is lower taxes, lower property taxes, homestead exemptions, and keeping commercial small business taxes low so that people can reinvest their own money in themselves and their families. I believe in San Antonio's families making the right choices for themselves.
Thank you so much. So, would you be able to tell our Filipino American community members of your platform what would be your priority as soon or the moment you sit as the mayor of San Antonio?
Well, first up, I've put it out that I'm going to call myself the jobs mayor. Everything we do at San Antonio City Hall is going to be about putting jobs into the hands of people. So point one is job creation. And a jobs mayor means you go out into every city in this nation, and we try to take every job from every place we can to bring it home to us. And people need to make more money so they can make the choices for themselves and their families. That means owning homes, it means starting small businesses, keeping those small businesses open. So a jobs mayor chases a job everywhere he or she goes. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go after employment opportunities and people making more money. The second piece is public safety. I think we have to worry about the fact, we have a murder rate that's increased 34% year over year. The city's crime rate and murder rate is increasing. We have to put that, and we have to take those numbers, we have to drive them down. That means supporting our police officers, not defunding the police department, and also recognizing that by bringing down crime, it means we work on code compliance, we work on public safety issues like animal care services, stray dogs. I mean, public safety is a lot of different things. It's not just crime rates. It's also making sure that neighborhoods are clean, sidewalks are open. We have to keep people safe, and that's going to be a huge priority for me as mayor. So jobs, public safety, defending our police officers and firefighters. And then we're going to talk about taking care of families. I think families need opportunities to get back to living again. And for me, that means helping our homeless community. We've got a massive homeless problem that's growing across our city, and we have tent cities underneath major overpasses like I-35, I-37. So we have to clean up homeless encampments, but we have to take care of our homeless community as well. And by that, I mean we have to give them opportunity. We have to get them off the streets and find them opportunities at Haven for Hope and other places where we know homelessness is, it's not, the thing for me is homelessness isn't a crime. It's mental health issues. It's drug addiction issues. It's domestic violence issues. A lot goes into homelessness. I think we have to really go after that's a faith perspective too. I want to really dig in and help the homeless community and take care of our seniors as well. But I want families to be able to make decisions for themselves again. And that includes around mask usage. I'm not in support, I'll be honest with you, of vaccine passports and mandatory vaccines and all these other things. I think we have to get back to letting families make choices for themselves and respecting that. And finally, I want to clean up City Hall. I think it's too hidden down there. I want to make sure it's totally transparent, open records. Citizens have an opportunity to see everything that happens at City Hall. So I really want to focus on cleaning up City Hall. And that means also, and this is very important, the entire system at City Hall is built so that you, the citizen, right, you have to do all the work to get to City Hall. Somewhere along the line, it changed. 25 years ago, it used to be that your government was in your neighborhood, it was helping you, it was going to you. But we've changed that now as technology has grown, as all these things have changed about how we live and work. Now the government's distant from us. So I want to take City Hall and I want to bring it to you. Like I want to take it to you where you're at in your neighborhood, in your community. And I want to bring that trust back. And that means I have to be a leader who's in the neighborhoods. I'm not going to be a mayor that's behind a desk. I'm not a mayor on Zoom, and I'm not going to be a mayor on TV. I'm going to be a mayor in your community showing up. And I think that's a big difference between myself and Ron Nirenberg. I have a level of passion for this city that Ron simply doesn't have. But I want to show up and do the hard work in your communities, and that's the kind of mayor I'm going to be.
All right, that was very well said. Now, after everything that you said, you really caught me when you talk about transparency. Because to us, being Filipino Americans, we're a minority, all right? When you talk about transparency, and I do agree with you, we got to have the people involved. We got to let them know we make sure that they're aware of what is going on, what the city council is doing. How do you plan on making sure that our residents are fully aware as to what your plans are in the city?
That's a great question, because the harder part of government is getting it to the people, right? So the people have all the facts and information. And sometimes it's as simple as internet access. 30 to 35% of our city does not have internet access. So you can't engage with the government if you can't access the website. So we have to think about how people interact with us. So a couple of things I would do is try to work on broadband internet access for the entire city so that anybody can engage us and show up online and really work with their government so they can see what's happening. All the government's posting information, everything now, it's all online. Everything is digital. So we have to help everybody close that digital divide. The second thing I would do is take City Hall out into the neighborhoods. So I would have city council meetings in council districts. I would make sure that our meetings are where the public is at. Right now, the meetings are very unfriendly times. 9 a.m. on a Thursday is when we have the city council meeting. No one shows up down there. The public doesn't engage. So we want to make it to where people can come out of their neighborhood and they can see a city council meeting in their community. We may do it at Hardburger Park in District 9 or in District 6 at senior centers, right, where people can show up and we take government to them. So I'm going to make sure that happens. And then from an open records perspective, total transparency. If somebody asks a question about us at City Hall, we have to release everything from body cam footage on police officers to a reporter's request to see what I'm spending as the mayor of San Antonio. Total transparency. Everything gets released so people know what decisions we're making.
Okay, so the next question is, why should the Filipino Americans of San Antonio support you to be the mayor of the city?
I think, and it doesn't matter where you come from, who you are. I try not to lead like that. What I try to say is everybody has an opportunity to open the door where I'm at. I have to be accessible to everybody. I have to show up. And the Filipino community, I think, you know what, we have to really take a hard look at. And we deal with all across the board different segments of our community. The African American community, the Hispanic community. We have the Asian American Pacific Islander alliances. We have the LGBTQ community. There's so many different organizations that are working to do great things in our city. So what we have to do is recognize that no matter the size of your organization, you have just as much a voice at City Hall. Right now, the people with the money, generally speaking, or the more people there are, right, the bigger voice, the ones with the microphone, they get all the news. They are the ones that get all the action at City Hall. I'm going to change that. So if I'm in the Filipino American community, what I'm asking is, and I'm going to really work hard to do, is to show you that I'm going to learn what's important to your community. And I may not know or have all the answers, but I think you have to be a part of that to bring you into the City Hall. We have to bring you into the mayor's office. I have to show up in your neighborhood. And I don't understand. Look, my experience, I'm half Latino myself, right? So while my name is Brockhouse, I'm actually an Arrocha from the south side of San Antonio. And my wife and I came to our marriage with children from previous marriages. And my daughter is Japanese. So, I know some things. I know that has Hispanic Latino heritage. My family's from my dad's from Illinois, and he's German. My 28-year-old daughter at Texas Tech University, she's Japanese. So you can go right down the line of, I have an understanding of different things, but I don't have all the answers. There's so much beauty and diversity in San Antonio that it's on me as the mayor to go out and learn it. So what you'll get from me is I'm going to show up, and just because I may not know it now doesn't mean I'm not going to know it in the future. And if I show up, I'm in the neighborhood, I'm in the community, I'm in the restaurants, I'm in the families, I'm showing up in your neighborhood saying, what can I do to help you? A servant mentality is what I want to bring to it. And you can count on that from me. I'll pour my heart and soul into being mayor. And no one's going to get preferential treatment over anybody. So I know a little bit of some things in the world because of my life story, my family, but I don't know everything. So I'm going to need to learn that, right? And I can't wait that. That's the beauty of being mayor, is that you run across so many different people from so many walks of life. You can't possibly know how people live. But what you can do is ask what's most important and then deliver on that, right? Show up and do the job and give the citizens what they want. And that's what I think the number one thing I'll do as mayor for the Filipino community.
All right, thank you so much. Now, your next question is, considering the pandemic, it hasn't been easy for the past year, with COVID-19. It has affected, small business owners, at the same time, our educational system. Now, as a mother, I'm a mother of 4 kids. So, of course, I also have some concerns as to the educational system. We have made a lot of changes, because of the pandemic. If would there be anything in our educational system that you want to change or implement in San Antonio to make it better for our kids?
That's another great question because we have about 17 different school districts in San Antonio, not to mention private schools, homeschooling, charter schools. There's a lot of people educating children in our city. So and they each have their own individual boards, elected officials. It's very difficult for City Hall to be a part of the school system and make changes. But this is what we can do. We can help with technology and that internet access I talked about earlier. What we've learned from the pandemic is about 30-40% of our kids don't even have the internet access to go to school. So if something happened like it did during the pandemic and we have to take kids and educate them from home while the teachers are remote, a third of our city and our children had no opportunities. They disappeared over the pandemic and received no education. And by the way, they may have lost one school year, but it's really 2 to 3 years of education because they have to work on the next school year plus the one they lost. So children we're going to have an educational gap that's going to be huge. So as mayor, what I would want to do is internet access again across the city for everybody. And then technology matters. There's school districts in our city. My wife's a teacher of 14 years in Northside. There are school districts and schools that have no computers, that have never seen an iPad, that don't have a tablet in their hand, that the kids, the only time sometimes they eat is when they go to school. So we have to recognize that we have to really put a lot of technology and resources. So I think the city can do that. I think we can help fund technology opportunities and internet access and then help on the transportation side so kids can get to school. That's where we own it. And then let the experts do their job. Let the teachers teach. But us, we build the city around those schools. Broadband internet access, technology support, and the right transportation so kids can get safely to and from school.
So right now, are we in any capacity to make that happen?
We have the capacity to do it. We just got to get to work on it. I think when we've recognized it from the pandemic that it's now a problem. So once the awareness rises and people recognize it, we can fix it. A lot of times things get missed at City Hall because there's just no awareness. People don't know it's a problem. We know now internet access is a major issue. So I think that's going to help itself over the next year or two. We're going to fix that problem so that people don't get left behind.
I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. Anything else you want to say? Well, thank you so much once again, mayoral candidate Greg Brockhouse. Thank you so much for this opportunity and for taking the time to be with USAPANG FIL-AM. Once again, mga kababayan here in San Antonio, this is USAPANG FIL-AM with CHONA Day, and this is our mayoral candidate, Mr. Greg Brockhouse. Magandang gabi.